All right, everybody. We are back with another fun edition of Top Trades, and the market is red. I don't believe it. Have we seen a red market in the past couple weeks? I don't know. I think this is the first one in a while. We'll talk about that. I'm here with Ian, the chart master from the
Morning,
chart
everybody.
here. Thanks for joining me, Ian.
Yeah,
I know everybody's probably excited to see you. Ian's always dropping the hot charts in the chat for you guys. Um, so markets are down today, and I think this is going to be one of those pullbacks. And just to back up a little bit, I was talking in chat earlier. I think we're going to have a red week. I think the markets are going to leak lower. I don't know what's going to happen with earnings with Google or Tesla or anything else. I don't know if there's going to be any big earnings news. I'm not really concerned about it. I just feel like we're at the point right now where stocks are going to slow down. We're already seeing the speculative groups that we've been trading in and out of for the past several weeks. We're starting to see bigger pullbacks in those names. I just feel like this is going to be one of those risk off weeks where it's late summer, you know, people are going to get a little bit antsy about the market. I've already had some people messaging me about like, ooh, market's down. And it's like, guys, what is the NASDAQ even down right now? We're down less than 0.5% as of right now, and people are already kind of like feeling it or like, freaking out about it a little. I don't want to say freaking out, but they're mentioning it to me. I just feel like little indicators like that, little social indicators like that are starting to creep into the picture. It's making me feel like, yeah, this is a moment that's ripe for just a nice summer pullback. So, like, again, let's put it all into context. I'm not bearish, and there's no reason to be bearish. Ian and I were just talking before the call. What'd you say, Ian? There's everything is risk on.
yeah. It
Everything
doesn't
you
matter
look
where
at.
you look. Bonds, stocks, commodities, crypto. It's a risk-on environment across the board.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. So we have to keep that in mind. Like this isn't the time to sell everything and hide. Although I do think it's time to take some profits, and it's a good time to sort of reset your thinking and maybe attempt to rotate away some of these plays that we've been trading over the past few weeks that I think are going to take bigger hits or that I think could endure a little bit more of corrective action. Um, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday morning. I wanted to walk you guys through just a quick thing I was seeing. And it's, I'll talk about our QUBT trade in a second, but I wanted to talk about SoundHound because I think this is a really great example of what's kind of happening in this market right now, where Monday morning, futures were up, everything looked great. The market was gapping higher. We got a nice modest gap higher in the market. And then I started to see some red trickle into the picture. We started to see some very early morning reversals in a lot of these stocks, and SoundHound was one of them that I mentioned. It gapped higher, and it looked like it was breaking out above these swing highs from earlier this month right here, and it wanted to run. And then it started very quickly retreating back into this range, and it was down a few percent before we'd even logged off the chat for the morning. So within the first half hour of trade, the stock was already down, and then it started sinking lower into the rest of the day. It ended up down almost 9%. It's down this morning. So we're starting to see some of these hotter stocks suck in some of that late money and then puke it all back. Now, again, putting it all into context, I don't think there's any reason to be overly bearish about this stock. There's nothing wrong with the chart. This is just one of those type of swings that you see when the sellers come out of the woodwork and people start taking profits. And we're seeing that throughout. I mean, I can pull up a ton of names like ASTS. That's another one where the chart looks fine. There's nothing wrong with these charts, but we're starting to see gap up higher in these, and then we're starting to see them come back down into the range, and then we're seeing some follow through to the downside the next day. So my guess is that we're going to see some resets, and we're going to see some tests of different levels in a lot of these stocks that have just been on fire lately. I mean, you see what happened with ASTS. We've traded this one before, where in June it absolutely exploded off this $25 level. I mean, it's gone from what? A low of $23 up to $60 over the course of what, 7 weeks or so. I'd say a little bit of consolidation might be in order for a play like this. So the moral of this story is, and looking at our QUBT play, where I got out earlier this morning. Nothing wrong with the daily charts, obviously, but these aren't the kind of stocks where I want to kind of sit around in and wait to see if they're going to bounce. And they're definitely not the kind of plays that I'm going to be trying to grab on red days like this and say, like, okay, I'm going to try to jump into this thing and maybe hopefully it bounces. I do think that they could retest a lot deeper than people think. I could be wrong. Maybe we have a situation where, QUBT is just stuck in this range right here and it never dips below 1630-ish, and then it creeps back up here up into the 20s and breaks out again. That would be great, but I'm not going to try to buy this thing again until I see some green candles and until I see it actually like show me that it's going to find that support level wherever that might be and bounce from there. Otherwise, I think you risk having some dead money trades out there where you get these stocks stuck in these big wide ranges where it sucks people in and then it pukes them out, and then you get these big moves like what we saw in Sound earlier. It's kind of been in one of these ranges for a while now where it's at 10, goes to 13, comes right back down to 10, tries 13 again, and now it's on its way back to 10. If we're trying to put on calls on a play like this, we're going to get chewed up and spit out. There's really no way around it. So we want to see a little bit cleaner action in these. And right now, I think that the cleaner action, it's past, and we're going to start seeing some more corrective action. Here's some more charts for you. This is Red Cat. It's a drone stock. I know some of you guys might be familiar with this one, but you can see here, it had this news gap here, and it ran all the way from $8 to 12. Well, now it's down below $9 today after, let's see, on Friday, it was down 7. It was down 16 yesterday, and now it's down 5. Again, it's just coming back down here to these swing highs in middle of June. This isn't broken by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just getting a little wonky for me. And it's not the kind of stock that I'm going to be like trying to grab onto in this environment. And then even the other quantums, what is it? QBTS. I bet you that's going to look the same. I haven't looked at this chart. Yeah, see, nothing wrong with these charts. It's just they're starting to cool off. So if we're in a situation where the red hot speculative money is starting to chill out, then I think we're going to have to stay bullish longer term, obviously, because like we were discussing earlier, there's nothing wrong with this market. But I think we're just going to have to respect the fact that maybe we're going to be in a pocket of weakness here. And we're just going to have to rotate, find the plays that are working, and sort of, expand our horizons a little bit. And we're not going to be wheeling and dealing with the QBTSs or the ASTSs much while they're, trying to find their way. And, it's entirely possible that 4-6 weeks from now, maybe sooner, these things are setting back up and we're diving right back in. But right now, I think the biggest mistake you can make in this market right here, and again, this isn't a prediction, this is just me being reactive to what I'm seeing. The biggest mistake you can make in this market right now is going to be banging your head against the wall, chasing these exact same stocks that have worked over the past 6-8 weeks if they're just going to be stuck in these ranges, because you're just going to get chewed up.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. Also, you're highlighting a lot of potential support levels where like Red Cat is pulling back and retesting the June highs.
Yeah.
So a lot of names are pulling back to former peaks. So, I mean, we're going to get a lot of information in this week and the next week in terms of whether or not buyers are willing to step in. Or
this could be a good trade again, and it'll tell you whether or not this move is going to stick.
Right.
Like we don't know right now if this is going to be like a total give back and it's going to come right back down here to $7. But like Ian was saying, if it consolidates along here or it bounces along these the shelf former highs right here around $9 where it was having trouble earlier, then we know that's good information right there. We know this stock isn't dead. It's probably going to bounce from there or rally from there. And another thing is you can get all those plays that you quote unquote missed, from the past few weeks. I mean, if you were trading other things or looking in other directions, if you were like, oh man, I really like this stock. I wish I had bought it, when it was breaking out right here. Well, the market's going to give you another chance. if indeed it's going to bounce from that level. And so you can, I'm not saying you need to totally like put your blinders on, go hide in a cave and all that. What I would do is I would make a list of these stocks that you like and track them and see how they consolidate and see if you can get those good entry points, especially if you have like a longer term time frame. If you're not just slinging calls on some of these plays and looking for those quick hits, you could get a really nice entry without having to chase, if these really do set up and start to move higher. So I like that. I like that strategy too. But again, it's all about just sort of recalibrating. I think this is going to be a recalibration week. Maybe that's how I'll put it. Maybe not necessarily like a market reset, but just recalibrating our minds and making sure that we're chasing after the right stocks and not chasing after the ones that, are going to bite us.
Right. And I think after, the next week or maybe week and a half, however long it takes the market to reset, to pull back and recalibrate, like we're going to find the opportunities out there are there's going to be so many opportunities. We're not just going to be looking at the red cats or the quantum names or the flying cars. There's going to be mining stocks. We're going to have so many mining stocks to choose from. We're going to have coal stocks.
We already have
We're
our
going to have
miner.
emerging
We have our
market
silver miner,
stocks.
man. I'm stoked about this play.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I think my timing wasn't perfect, obviously. And I mean, we had that. I mean, every day last week, it was like punching me in the face. But it feels like metals are bouncing and we're going to rip here. And maybe that's the rotation we should be watching for. We should be watching these miners and see if they start perking up and running. I mean, like, I think this could go. I think this could break 16 and push ahead, especially after this little fake out we got last week with it. I mean, it kind of did the same thing that we were talking about here, where it gapped up on Monday and then it lost steam with that little dollar rally we had. But now we have, silver perking up, gold perking up. I mean, the gold miners look good.
And that's the thing with silver. Like you said, silver punch you in the face. Silver's a much tougher trade than gold. Yeah. Gold plays nice. You don't get a lot of false breakouts with gold. Silver, on the other hand, silver always has me on edge.
Well, I don't blame you. Silver's been on a tear though. Is it are silver futures
SI exclamation point.
SI exclamation point. There we go. Are we nope, it's not doing it.
SI1
SI1 exclamation point.
You can just click silver feed. Yeah.
Doesn't want to do it. But yeah, man, I mean, I feel like this is accelerating. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't silver run and peak during the last big metals bull market in 2011? Wasn't it in August when it peaked out at like close to $50?
Yeah, just over 49. Yeah.
So is this a seasonally strong period for silver and gold right here, or is this just a coincidence?
I don't know if it's a coincidence or if it's seasonality. It's interesting though that gold broke out in June 2019, and then peaked in the spring of 2020, and then it wasn't until the summer of 2020 that silver actually started to get moving, and then it peaked, and then later in the fall you had copper breakout, and the rest of the commodity space. You started to see the grains go, soybean oil and all of that. And right now, palladium, platinum's a breakout. And platinum's just continuing to rip higher, reminding me a lot of 2020 when copper just sliced right through that 330 level. I remember tweeting about it and I was like, I had the red arrows right around 330. I'm like, come on,
yeah,
copper gonna just rip right through this and it's not gonna pause. And it did. It ripped right through, and so did platinum recently. So
it's crazy how nice these bases are. Like this is the physical palladium ETF right here I'm looking at. I mean, like, it's insane to me how late these other metals have been to the party with gold. I mean, gold has been so far ahead of everything, and now it feels like there's this mad dash of like everything trying to catch up with platinum and palladium and everything. And this is just now. I mean, this looks like, I mean, to me, and I know I'm looking at the the ETF here, but this looks like, any type of bounce or extension off of this like 115 level seems very viable to me. And this is like a true breakout and they could really accelerate. I bet you, does platinum look the same? Let me take a look. No, this is not platinum.
Yeah.
I need to work on all my on all my metals tickers. Look at this. I got all the wrong stuff in here.
Yeah, just click on the futures.
There, we'll do this one.
Let's quick look.
But look at that. I mean, like these moves, it feels like this one may be more extended than the other ones, but I mean, it feels like these breakouts are just getting started here.
Yeah. But just like, some of the stocks we were looking at earlier, platinum needs to pull back.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to see some consolidation. But again, like when we look at the bigger picture, we look at, high level, there's really no signs of stress in the market. There's no risk off signals at all. It's wild. And this week, I can see a pullback this week, but there's not a whole lot of economic data on the books. It's a pretty quiet week. I know we have earnings later.
Yeah.
Tonight we have Tesla and Google. Is Tesla and Google tonight, right?
They're tomorrow.
Or tomorrow?
Yeah.
But other than that, like it's, what's going to drive the market lower?
Well, okay, so here's, and this is, again, this is not a prediction. This is just like a thought process around this. Mm-hmm. So let's say that earnings are a nothing burger, which, I mean, they probably will be. I don't foresee any type of big earning shocks. Maybe we get one or two that are like of interest. Like, I think I don't know how much excitement Google's going to bring, but like Tesla might be interesting just because Tesla's always interesting and there's always some sort of controversy around it. And it's at a level now where I think it could go either way. Mm-hmm. And so that might, prove to give us a little bit of like juice for upside or downside, but I don't think the rest of the market necessarily cares about Tesla earnings. They don't use it as any type of bellwether to be like, oh no, Tesla had bad earnings, we have to sell everything, right? So I don't think earnings are going to do much for the market. However, what if we're getting into a situation now where people kind of come to their senses after these big speculative moves and the market starts to cool a little bit, and then all of a sudden, August 1st, the tariff deadline starts to become important to people. That's my main thing, because like, the market doesn't care about stuff until it starts caring about stuff. And I feel like we could get into one of those pockets where all of a sudden, like, oh no, August 1st is however many days away, and and it starts getting built up into this big thing. Like whether or not it turns into a big thing remains to be seen. But what if it gets built up into this big, like, oh no, this is a type of sell the news, like or sell the news before it happens type event. I think that's possible. I'm not predicting anything, but I think that's possible. Like we get into that, we're in a summer news lull, mm-hmm. And CNBC needs to run something 24/7. What if they just start hammering tariffs and people get freaked out? The market moves a little bit lower, and then it moves maybe a little, maybe down a little bit more, just anticipating whatever magic is going to happen, or any type of last minute tariff adjustment. So I think that's a possibility. I mean, do you think that's crazy or?
No, I don't think it's crazy, but I also think investors are probably just worn out on the whole tariff narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I can see the August 1st tariffs becoming the September 1st tariffs, and we're going from Liberation Day tariffs to Labor Day tariffs, and then it's the October 1st tariffs. And I mean, I don't know. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Like, it could be like, we could get Taco Trump, and he could say like, just kidding. We need more time to really negotiate, and it's all of a sudden it's November or whatever, and it all just gets pushed. We could very well get a taco trade. That would be very interesting too, if like this market finally cools off a little bit, and then Trump juices it by being like, yeah, you know what? It's not August 1st, it's November 1st. Or
yeah. I mean, that's ideal, right? That's an ideal scenario if we're buying calls.
Yeah, but I mean, just like going back and like looking at, pulling up and looking at the NASDAQ here. And again, nothing to be worried about. It just feels like, man, like we could get into that early August rut, where we're up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit more. And we just end up in some summer chop. And again, nothing wrong with letting the moving averages catch up on all these, again, risk on across the board. But just having that type of reset, I think would just be ideal in this market. Like from a selfish standpoint, I would like to see the market chill out a little bit, because I would really hate to see us just go completely ape, to the upside, and then have to deal with like a big volatility event where, everything hockey sticks, and then we have bigger problems. Because I do think that, like, if we're following, and again, analogs are interesting, but it's not necessarily a roadmap for what the market's going to do. But if we're thinking along the lines of what happened in 2020, which I've been talking about a lot, where you have the big sell the news event in the spring with COVID in 2020 and Liberation Day this year, and then you have the big rip back up toward new highs at some point in the summer. It took us longer in 2020. It was very quick this time around, but the dip wasn't as big. But then remember back to 2020, we had not one but two 10% moves lower in the S&P in September, October, right there. So it definitely got volatile before that melt up. And I mean, that was a hell of a melt up in late October through January, heading into 2021. I mean, that was those epic gamma squeezes, the big Tesla squeeze, that was GameStop, all that stuff. All that happened in that time frame right there. But before that, we had to deal with all that volatility of the two 10% moves lower, and of course, like, people freaking out about it. So I'm not saying we're going to get two 10% pullbacks in the S&P or the NASDAQ or anything like that coming up. I don't know what's going to happen, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised to see that type of August, September, everybody jockeying for position, some chop in the markets, and then we set up for a potential melt up into the holidays there. And then who knows, maybe all of the fun themes that we've enjoyed trading from, drones to quantum AI and all that stuff, we're just back in that groove where those things are just, moving higher every single day, which would be great. I can't complain about that.
No, but I think you're right. There's likely rough waters ahead. And this is an excellent time to just be vigilant.
And I know we've been talking about it a while, but like, that's the whole thing. It's like, for the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about, like, okay, the market should pull back anytime now. When's this going to happen? I'm not positioning myself to like profit from it, but at the same time, I'm rolling with the stuff that's working. But at the same time, I just want to keep these ideas in the front of my head, so that I'm not taken off guard, because I feel like a lot of people are going to be taken off guard because it's been so easy. Recency bias is a very real thing, especially when you're like in the trenches and you're just trading all the time, and you're just like, you're ripping these gains left and right on these stocks, and everything's working out great. And then your brain just breaks because you have a day where the NASDAQ's down like 1.5%. You don't know how to react to it. You're just like, what happened? This doesn't happen. Well, actually, it's pretty normal. And
whenever I go on a run of just winners, I start to get a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Yeah.
Because I just know from experience that those periods, they come and go. And it feels like we're heading towards a period where it's just going to be far more challenging. I mean, look at this chart here, the NASDAQ. I still can't believe the NASDAQ ripped right through the spring highs.
Yeah, it didn't even care.
It didn't even care.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a slight pause, but not really.
Yeah. No, not really. I mean, yeah, like this was, remember we were talking about it right here.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of sideways there, but we didn't even let the shorter term moving averages catch up, and we just kept ripping, right into the 4th of July and beyond that. So yeah, I'm constantly trying to take inventory of where we are, and when there's this much air, and the red line's the 200-day moving average, and there's this much air, between price and the 200-day, then there's plenty of room to drop with again, and it doesn't change your longer term ideas about the market. It doesn't change, longer term bullishness. But even if like we, this is dead simple and probably too simple. But even if over the next couple weeks we were to get back to 20K on the NASDAQ right there, that would be a pretty normal, average, run-of-the-mill pullback that really shouldn't bother anybody. But people are going to be loud and crazy about it if it happens.
It would actually be healthy.
It would be healthy. It would be
That would
great.
be great.
I would be fine with that.
But let's, talking about how, it's just risk on no matter where you look. It's hard to find a bearish data point. Looking at the 14-day RSI and the lower pain here.
Yeah.
I mean, steady since May.
Yep.
It's just been steady overbought. Looks like it's just bouncing between, let's say 60 and 70, 71, 72. So no crazy. It's been a steady grind.
Yep.
I don't see any signs of momentum slowing. There's no bearish divergences or anything like that. So yeah, it's just like,
yeah. And I don't think we need one of those days where it's like, oh crap, the averages are down 3.5%.
yeah.
I mean, we could get one, but I mean, like, I think we could chop along and then just bleed lower a little bit, and just bleed off some of that excess momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think anybody's going to like it, because people don't like shifting gears. They like doing the same thing and they like doing what works. But I think we need to stay on top of that and make sure that, we're rotating with the stuff that is working in this market. That's why I'm glad we're in SILJ.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll keep an eye on other commodity plays too. But just, staying on top of the stuff that is going to work when these speculative rallies do die down a little bit, which eventually they will. This might not be it. I think it is, but eventually they will. And as long as we have that in the front of our heads, I think we're going to be good to go. The next big question I have about this market is, if we do get a slowdown, speaking of, there's bull markets everywhere right now, and it's really hard to find any bearish setups.
Mm-hmm.
Does crypto slow down with the market, or does it just keep going? We've had such a massive breakout in Ethereum, which is finally chilling out right here and consolidating really nicely, by the way, right around 3,700. I kind of wonder if we don't see a little bit of volatility short term in Ethereum or Bitcoin, if we do start to see some of these other speculative groups, pause or post a sharper pullback. Because to me, that money's the same, like the money that would be trading Ethereum is the same money that would be trading SoundHound or ASTS or QUBT,
Exactly.
And so I feel like the sentiment for these assets is pretty closely tied together. And so I do wonder if we can still see a crypto run, because I mean, the last few weeks when we've been talking about Ethereum, I think this can go to 4,000 very quickly. I mean, it's almost there. And then from there, I think it's going to be time to test those all-time highs from November of 21, which is closer to 5,000. Mm-hmm. And Ethereum can move a lot faster than people think, obviously. I mean, from this breakout right here, we had the nice fake out move lower, and then it caught and pushed higher right there. I mean, I think it can be lightning fast, but at the same time, I'm also worried about like somebody throwing a wrench in the gears, and some fast and furious selling coming in, just because, if folks aren't going to want to be trading the red cats or the QUBTs, are they going to want to be trading, Ethereum? So I don't know if you had any takes on that. That's just my general thought.
Yeah, I actually like crypto over stocks right now.
Okay, that's fair.
And it's very simple. They've been chopping sideways. They've been consolidating. You can see the consolidation here.
Yeah.
In Ethereum, Bitcoin's consolidation below that 106 level, 107 level for months, and just now starting to break out. I like that. Gold looks like it's ready to break out. I like gold. I like these assets over stocks because, as we were just pointing out with the NASDAQ, it ripped right through those former highs. We're not seeing any consolidation since the April low. It's just been straight up. At some point, it's going to need to take a breather, And Bitcoin and gold and some of these other commodities that haven't gone vertical yet, they're gonna have legs. You know, they're gonna. I think they're gonna continue to move higher.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I think so too. I think it'll have legs. And I think also, um, if people start squawking about rates again, I think that, crypto can benefit from that. Uh, I mean, just talking about the sentiment change in Ethereum over the past few weeks has been insane.
Mm.
Like Ethereum's all over the place. I mean, nobody wanted Ethereum for how many years? It's been like it's been 3 or 4 years since anybody's talked seriously about Ethereum.
Yeah.
And I could have sworn, and I'm not a crypto guy, but I could have sworn that just a couple years ago, everybody was like, Ethereum is dead and Solana is gonna eat its lunch.
Yeah,
As
that was a
as
narrative for
like
sure.
yeah, that was the narrative, right? That was like Solana's the platformer, and everyone's building off Solana now. No one's building off Ethereum. Well, I think that's changed very quickly. And then you have all the money pouring into Ethereum. You have Tom Lee on CNBC talking about Ethereum. I think it just legitimizes the whole idea that, Ethereum is the catch-up trade uh, right now. And that makes a lot of sense to me. And we were talking about, I happen to have this tab up right here. We were talking about this earlier this week. There's money pouring into this market
Yes.
right now. There is some money pouring into crypto like we haven't seen in a while right now. So I think that's worth mentioning. And again, like I see there's John's talking about Solana, I think, like in the chat right there. Like I'm not bearish on these because I think Solana looks pretty good right here, doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
does. I like Solana a lot. I also like Avalanche.
What does that have a ticker that I can type
That's
in?
yeah, AVAX, AVAX. Great looking chart. And we're right there at those former highs. It's similar, I think it's a similar coin, similar chain to Solana. Man, Chris Campbell had a really good piece on crypto recently. I'll have to drop it in the chat for everyone later this afternoon. But he goes through a number of coins, and he was discussing how AVAX will likely be a coin used by institutional finance.
Yeah, see, it feels like it's been all Bitcoin for so long in the crypto space because that's what was working. And all last year, that's all I really wanted to talk about in crypto because I mean it made sense. We had this big
Right.
Bitcoin rally. That was the play that was working. And now it feels like, I mean, Bitcoin's very much working right now. I'm not saying it's not working, but I feel like we're getting that trickle down where folks are starting to make money in other areas of the crypto market. I just pulled up a Ripple XRP right here. I mean, this has been a tremendous rally off
Yes.
these lows right here. And then if we want to go to the ultimate crypto uh, indicator, it's Dogecoin, which is this Doge rally round two. Look, I thought it was right here, my old annotation. Maybe this is it finally. We're going to see things get stupid again. And, some of these meme coins start to rip.
I
This is
love pulling up old workbooks and finding old annotations on them.
Yep.
It's great because you go back and like, oh wow, yeah, this is what I was thinking. And this is
What I
how
was thinking. This is
yeah,
where I
this
was
is
wrong. Yeah, too many times I pull up an old chart and I'm like, hey, what about this? And like, nope. But that's markets, right? But yeah,
yeah.
like we got Dogecoin moving from 16 to 26 right here. I don't think it's any guarantee that it rips back up here into the high 40s, but it's entirely possible. But yeah, uh my favorite is still Ethereum here. Full disclosure, I sold half of my Ethereum trade yesterday as it was pulling off of those highs right there. So I just wanted to lock it in. Um, I during this consolidation area, I bought some levered Ethereum, that ETF, ETHU, and I figured, well, that's just about a clean double right there. Might as well take that off the table. And I'm going to let the rest of the half ride now that I have some wiggle room in it and I booked some profits. So again, I'm not bearish Ethereum. I just think that after a run like that, you kind of got to feed the ducks a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's how I've been thinking about the whole market right now. Like there's so many big stocks that have done so well, and I talk about Robinhood a lot, but that are starting to show just a little bit of weakness, which is kind of crazy to talk about because I'm here having a conversation with you about like, oh, look at this weakness in Robinhood, look at the daily chart. You know, it's completely insane though. But like you see some of these Cathie Wood stocks like Robinhood here, or like pull up like Roblox, which has been on an absolute tear. And oh yeah, look, Roblox is down almost 4% today. So finally, a little bit of sanity is starting to creep in here, which again, this just sort of feeds into my idea that like, okay, we're going to slow down a little bit here and the market's going to chill out and we're going to see some resets. And I wouldn't be surprised if I pulled up this chart 2 weeks from now and Robinhood was back at $100, you know, 105. And again, it would be fine. There'd be nothing wrong with that. Nothing broken structurally with it. But I mean, if I zoom in here, I can count the number of red candles on one hand, you know, on this rally. I mean, how long can this thing stay overbought like this? It's insane. So, you know, there's going to be some mean reversion in these trends right here. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like John saying in chat, let ETHT consolidate to the 200-day moving average. Yeah, like give Ethereum a chance to chill here. I think it could continue to rip very quickly. But if we give it a chance to chill here, it'll set back up and it'll be another great trade.
Yeah.
You know, so just think of it that way. Like this is a great time, I think, to, if you haven't already. And I know a few weeks ago when Enrique was on, he was saying this is a good spot to take some profits. Chris and I were talking about taking profits. I'm talking with you now, Ian, about taking some money off the table. It doesn't hurt you at all to take some money off the table here. After these runs that we've had, and just understand what an incredible market this has been, and it can't stay like this forever. It just can't, you know.
No, but to get back to Solana, I know John mentioned Solana. If we go back to if you pull up a Solana chart and zoom out to fall of last year, so we have a double bottom this year.
Yeah.
Not to get into charting principles here, but yeah, so it's broken out. Solana's broken out, big candle, strong day yesterday. And then you look at AVAX, which is a similar coin. It hasn't broken out yet. It's still stuck below those pivot highs from a couple months ago or last month.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to be long Solana, because Solana is showing us right now that it's the stronger of the two. Yeah, AVAX could catch up. Maybe AVAX goes on a run too, but I think Solana back up to 261.
Yeah.
All-time highs. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And if crypto, if Bitcoin's running up to 172 or 278 or a million, whatever, if Bitcoin's running towards our next objective, then you better believe Solana's ripping too. Solana could easily be $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, totally. And what I really like about the Solana chart is this fake out right here.
Yeah.
Like that's so beautiful. Like it doesn't get any better than that, where everybody who has just been hanging on for dear life on this and has had dead money in this trade since like what, the beginning of 2024, after this big run up here from those bear market lows, they've just been waiting and waiting and waiting, and they finally gave up.
Yeah.
They gave up right here back in April. And it's funny that this was the Liberation Day. This is the tariff meltdown because Solana's, so closely tied to tariffs. But no, this was a great spot where plenty of Solana exchanged hands here to set up this rally that we've experienced. And it hasn't been perfect, obviously. I mean, like it got all the way up to 181 and then almost reset completely back down to that 120 level. Got down to 130 before it really started ripping again. Like it's not going to be, if I had to guess, I don't think it's going to be straight up.
No.
But I mean, like I wouldn't be surprised to see a reset to 180 and then a rip back to 280 right here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this chart definitely has potential. I see some chirping in the chat about is Solana junk? I don't know. I mean, I'm trading price right here. I'm not marrying the thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm looking at this chart, I like the chart right now, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, I went down the rabbit hole last cycle in 2021, and it's like, off chain or off the exchange, chasing rebasing DAOs on all that nonsense. Learned a lot. And I have some friends that are really into crypto, and they love Solana. They think it's the real deal. I have no idea. I hear a lot of negative things about Cardano though. But
What's
Cardano's,
what's
top 20
Cardano's?
in terms of market cap. It has a lot of volume. People trade it. And again, it's just, it's a ticker.
That's ADA.
It's a trading vehicle.
See if I can pull up a chart of it. There we go. That's a good looking chart too, though.
It is, yeah.
I don't hate it. I mean,
Yeah,
I've heard of Cardano. I remember it from the last cycle.
yeah.
But I feel like that's it's not the same, but I think it's very similar to what we were talking about with Solana, a similar situation where, this obviously, I don't know what the reason was or if there was a reason, but this ripped at the end of last year. I guess it was it was another post-election runner right here.
Didn't Trump come out and like Cardano was one of the 3 coins?
Oh, did it?
Mentioned
Okay.
in his
That's fair.
yeah.
But then look how sloppy it got. And that's the thing with some of these smaller coins. I mean, you just have to be ready for them to trade in these massive ranges. They're not going to trade like Google or Apple. This thing ripped from 33 cents to $1.24, and then bounced in a range from $1.24 to 55 cents for quite a while. And now it's coming out of that. So not the cleanest chart in the world, but I do like how it's above those swing highs from May.
Yeah.
Maybe got some juice left in it. But even like let's say you're a short-term trader and you're just trading this thing. Maybe you trade you buy a nice green candle here around like 88 cents or whatever, and you sell it at $1.15, $1.20. That's a great trade.
Great trade.
There's nothing wrong with that, trading that range right there. Or at least taking some money off the table and assuming that like, okay, it's probably going to pause once it gets back up here to 124. I say that and I'm going to write this down and come back and look at it in a few months. It's going to be like $3, right?
Yeah. What's great is, like Solana, you're mentioning, pointing out earlier, you kind of have like a failed breakdown.
Yeah.
That propelled price higher. I mean, that's just how markets work. Downside flush, paper hands dump, strong hands step in, drive price higher. You see it everywhere. You see it in gold. If you go back and look at that gold consolidation from 2020 to 2024, you had a failed breakdown then.
Yeah.
I think it was in 2023, late 2023, that set up that move.
Right here. You're right.
Yeah, that set up that move before the breakout in 2024.
That's it right there.
Yeah, there's a bunch. So
everybody got scared out of it. And that's markets, man. That's what happens. It's funny how like when you first start reading about chart patterns and you get those books and you're like, okay, like this is how they're all going to look. And it's like, yeah, those are the ideal examples.
Right.
And then you get into real market conditions and you realize that it's like, okay, the line's not magic, like things happen. And that's a big aha moment, I think, that a lot of traders have is like, okay, like there's certain things that will happen in the real world that aren't going to align perfectly with these textbook chart examples.
Yeah, absolutely.
Angie's asking if I went over the current trade. I guess you mean QUBT that we sold today. Yeah, I talked about it. I can say a few words on it again for anybody that jumped in late. I'm feeling like we're going to get a bigger pullback or at least a bigger pause in a lot of these speculative basket stocks, these tech basket stocks we've been dealing with, quantums, AI. They're all starting to act the same way here, where they're starting to give up a little bit more. I think yesterday was the big tell where some of them tried to gap higher and push green and then posted these big red candles. We're seeing the downside follow through in QUBT today. The main thing is the daily chart's not broken. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that we had calls that expire in less than a month, and I'm not going to sit around waiting for this thing to firm up and see if it can get back to the top of this range and finally break 20. If we're going to be in an environment where it's a little squishier in the market, stocks aren't moving straight up every single day, then these names might likely consolidate. It might retest a little bit lower. So we're just going to go with the flow and take that small loss and then see if we can get tactical and move into other things. Silver, since you're asking about it right now, I mean, I love how this trade is bouncing right here. I really like how precious metals look right now. I think that if stocks slow down, I mean, we could see a bunch of different metals start to rip here. They all look so good, you know?
Yeah.
Like Ian and I have been talking about copper. We've been talking about platinum and palladium. There's a lot of plays out there that are looking pretty interesting right here. So we'll see how all that comes to fruition. But that's just how I'm seeing the market right now. I'm trying to be nimble. I don't want to get too greedy up here. I mean, again, just trying to put everything into context. We've been on this humongous tear higher. And so, we've taken what we can get out of it. I don't think I'm going to be trading those stocks again for at least a few weeks. And we'll move on to other areas of the market that are setting up and looking a little bit more short-term bullish, let's say, if there is something that sets up. I also think it's entirely possible we get like a steady move lower and just everything kind of just has to chill out for a bit, which is fine. The good trades will reveal themselves in those conditions.
They will, and again, I think we're gonna have a plethora of tickers to choose from. Like pull up Mosaic, MOS. This is a fun one. Zoom out a little bit. Maybe zoom out like a year or so, 2 years.
There you go.
Big breakout. This is a fertilizer stock, right? I mean, it looks great. And I mean, I can see it running back to those former highs from 2021. Was up near what, 70, 80?
Yeah,
almost ticked 70, 80. So, I mean, there's going to be so many opportunities.
Well, so that's just it. So like, this is why it's so important to be nimble. Like, if I pulled up this chart, let's say I pulled up this chart like back here in June. I think the chart looks good, but this probably wouldn't have been the top trade on my book in those conditions because we had the AIs, the quantums, all that stuff ripping. And so it's like, those are the ones that are just screaming, trade me, trade me. I have to be traded. But now you see, and again, this is like putting ourselves in context with what the market is doing right now. But right now, looking at a chart like this, it's like, all right, cool. Like we have, QUBT, like failing for us, after a string of stocks just like that, I mean, for all intents and purposes, very similar to that one that we were trading. And we're starting to see those turn lower right here. This is sitting right at a nice level right here and posting a green candle right here. If this can get up closer to, 37, $38, this looks like the type of trade that you might want to take in an environment like this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Rotating
and being nimble, like Holly's saying, in the chat right here. I mean, that's what trading's all about. All the short-term trading is, it's about finding these opportunities and being in the right spot in the market cycle to take advantage of them. So yeah, that's what we're going to be trying to do, over the next few weeks. And again, like, I don't want anybody to come off of this call and be like, oh, Greg is an Uber bear now, and he's, he thinks the market's gonna crash or whatever. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that, like, I think conditions are changing. The market's always changing. Once you get comfortable doing one thing for a while, that's when things are going to change. It's like what Ian was saying earlier. Like, we had a nice winning streak. We had a lot of triple digit winners in a row off very similar types of trades. And when I'm starting to be able to do that without having to dig too deeply, for the next play, then it's coming a little easy for everybody. And that's when you should be like, wait, hold on a second. This is getting easy. Somebody's going to throw a wrench in my gears right here. The thing I like to say that I read on, I guess it was on Wall Street Bets, or it was on one of those, like, degenerate trading websites or message boards. where they say you get so lost in the trading, you take a screenshot instead of taking profits. You know, when you start feeling like you want to talk to people about how well you're doing,
Yeah.
in the market, that's usually your sign that, like, okay, it's time to get kicked in the teeth a little bit. It's time to take some losses and readjust. And every time I've ever felt, going back years, anytime I've ever felt like, oh man, I'm crushing it, I've learned to be like, all right, hold on a second, like where
Yeah.
where are we here in this cycle, and when's this going to change? Because it will. It'll change
It,
very quickly.
it definitely will. Yeah. You're talking about feeling a little bearish, or you don't want to come across as being too bearish
Right.
on the call today. I mean, I've been bearish for a while.
You've been
I mean,
you've
I've
been,
been
you've been
bearish,
writing
but
bearish you've been writing
it
bearish
hasn't
columns. I know.
it hasn't stopped me from taking trades, but I'm
Right.
having a really hard time um shaking it.
Yeah.
Uh, but this is the market, the data is telling us risk on. And
Yeah.
I think back to the last crypto cycle. We'll use crypto as an example. Remember fall of 2021. It was already cold in Pensacola. It was chilly.
It's never
And my
chilly then, right?
brother-in-laws invited me over to their house because they wanted to talk about this rebasing Dow with like a 55 trillion% APY or something. I don't know. It was ridiculous. So, and they wanted to talk to me about it, which I thought was cute. But anyways, I go over there and I'm walking around the backyard. They have like an outdoor fire pit, and everyone's sitting around the fire pit. And my brother-in-law is sitting there with my father-in-law, helping him open a Coinbase account.
And when is this?
This
November
was
2020?
November 2021. And I was like, this is the top. And I told him right there, I was like, this is what tops look like.
And it literally was the top.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was,
So
so that's
that was
not
your
happening right
soundboard.
now. We're nowhere near that. So
Yeah.
again, like I guess I gotta let this bearish sentiment just, wash over me, let go of it, and keep buying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it though. Like, just keeping yourself in check, because then you're ready.
Yeah.
Like, I never, I think we put too much focus just as traders on whether or not we need to advertise like we're bullish or bearish in any given situation, instead of just taking whatever the market is throwing at us. Because I mean, if I had to take some sort of poll, like every Monday, I'd say for the past 3 Mondays, I'd probably be leaning more bearish, than bullish, just assuming that we were going to get some sort of market slowdown or pullback. That didn't stop me from taking trades on the long side, though,
Right.
at the same time. So I'm able to separate it, but I think a lot of folks aren't. I think a lot of folks are like, I'm bullish here, so I have to do this thing, or I'm bearish here, so I have to follow through with this, instead of letting the action come to them
Yeah.
and taking the trades that are in front of them. So that's why I like to talk about this stuff so much, and like where we are in cycles and everything, or just where we are from a seasonal standpoint. Because the more I talk about it, the more I can sort of, take those ideas and then compartmentalize them in my head. And then it allows me to go back. And if I see a hot chart, I'm taking the trade. If I see a downside play, even though I'm bullish, maybe it's like something I want to take. So um, it helps me just keep my mindset correct for whatever is happening in the markets. And I think we need to do more of that, probably,
Yeah.
instead of just blindly saying like, are you bullish or bearish?
Right.
Who
It's
cares?
just not that simple.
Yeah.
And
It's not.
the best trades come to you. They're so
Yeah.
glaringly obvious.
Yep.
And yeah, maybe I'm a little bearish, but ask myself, sit down and ask myself, or sitting in front of my quote board, I'm willing to buy calls, still
Yeah.
willing to buy calls, but I'm not buying any puts. And then like, all right, so how bearish are you, man?
Yeah.
uh so
Well,
yeah, that's information.
well, it'll be interesting to see how earnings shake out, since we have Google and Tesla coming up this week on kind of a quiet news week, really, after everything that's been happening. I mean, anything could pop up, especially tariff related. So we'll see what pops up there. But we actually have two stocks that could set the tone more so than a lot of the banks and other names that have reported so far. So we'll see how people react to those. We'll see how this market shakes out right here. Again, there's nothing wrong with the market right here. This is a perfectly normal pullback. The Nasdaq is actually hanging in there really nicely. We have some semiconductors that are lower today, but that's I'll pull up that chart real quick since I think that's an important one. Look how extended semiconductors have gotten, off that low right there, and they're still hanging tough up here. Again, we could have a reset all the way down to the 260s, the low 260s in SMH, and it's still super bullish. There's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of names out there that have gotten out over their skis. And best case scenario is we get some chop and the moving averages catch up. Worst case scenario, I think, is we have some shakeouts and it scares some people. But overall, I think that'll just lead to more opportunities, more chances to buy into those stocks that you missed. If you weren't a buyer back in April and you missed some of these rallies and some of the stocks you like, I think there's going to be another chance to buy Roblox. I don't think you have to buy Roblox up here.
No.
If you like the stock. You don't have to buy it at 119. I think you probably buy it at 100 sooner rather than later. And if you own shares of Roblox, like I own some Roblox, but I sold some back here at like a little bit over $100. I was like, I got to take some of this off the table. I missed some of this, obviously, but at the same time, locking in those profits on these insane moves. Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that, you know?
And, the big banks, big banks look great.
Yeah, the financials look great.
Financials look great. And, it's interesting. Nick shared an article with us earlier today, and it was highlighting just how much Bitcoin Tesla owns. I think it's like over 112,000 Bitcoin. So I think it'll be interesting to see how the market reacts to the earnings report. Maybe it'll just be a nothing burger.
Yeah, I can never guess with Tesla. Like my best guesses with Tesla come at like what I consider to be like the emotional extremes. Like if everybody's really mad at Elon and there's people saying full self-driving sucks or it's never going to happen, like you feel those negative like kind of moments build up for Tesla. I feel like those kind of coincide with tradable lows for it. But right now, I feel like the stock is in the middle of this massive range that it's been in. It's riding its 200-day. It doesn't look bearish to me at all. But you have earnings coming up Wednesday night, and who knows what they're going to say. I think it could go either way.
Yeah. Let it get above 375, right? Let it get above 375.
I do not have a beat on them at all right now, or how I don't have a beat on how people are going to react to it.
Yeah.
Like I think like what'd you say? Like I think it could 275, 375.
Yeah.
One of those. I say that and watch the day after earnings, it'll be up like 1%. It won't do anything. And all the options will just get crushed.
That might be a good thing. And what I like most about this market right now is that worst case scenario, we have a significant pullback of maybe 10%.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more, right? That is the worst case scenario, but it's also longer term, the best case scenario.
Yeah.
So, I think we're in a great spot. We just play it safe. We tighten up, maybe, cut down on risk in terms of position sizing, and get ready for the next leg higher.
Yeah, man, we had foot on the gas for weeks and weeks.
Did.
And it worked out great. And now, we can coast a little bit. Don't have to burn so much gas, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it felt really good with the foot on the gas.
No, it did. It's fun. It's like you go through like you get these like little golden periods in the market, like that last for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, sometimes more. You get them two, 3, 4 times a year, where you can really make hay. And then you got to put your thinking cap back on, which is what we're doing now. I don't have a hat, but put your thinking cap back on right now. Get a little more tactical, and we'll figure it out. So I think we'll just leave it at that. Don't get too bearish. Don't be too bullish. We'll take what the market can give us this week, and we'll see where we're at. Maybe we'll be singing a different tune next Tuesday. We'll see. But we're still going to be digging up those trades for you guys. Hopefully we have some interesting new breakouts, breakdowns. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll have some interesting trades to talk about the rest of the week. We'll see how the market looks going into the weekend. My bets are that the NASDAQ and the S&P are going to be red this week. We're going to have, I don't think it's going to be anything serious, but I think it's good. We're going to leak lower, and that earnings are going to be a nothing burger. We'll see if that's true. And you guys can chastise me next Tuesday if it's not. How's that for a deal?
That sounds good. Go
All right, Ian, thanks for
5,000.
joining me today, man. Later.
Thanks for having me.